Namaste and welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity. We're going to continue with our exercise of answering a question from the jar. I will reach in and pull out a question, and I will take a deep breath and exhale. And I have my question. I'll start my timer. And away we go. Do you believe in predestination? Do you believe in predestination? And of course, predestination means that our lives and our life paths are predestined before we get down here, when we come into this incarnation. And this form that we're living in, this human life, has been destined by some force or whatever prior to our being breathed into life. Now, that predestination in the old Calvinistic terms was pretty dark and dreary. It was like you couldn't escape your life path. It was just there, and we're all meant to suffer, and that's part of being human and all that. And though I agree to some extent that suffering and pain is a part of the human experience, it's not all there is. And so when I think of the word predestination, I think more of the soul contracts that other New Age philosophers, I would use the word New Age because, yes, some people consider it pretty woo-woo, speak of, and that is this idea that before we incarnate into these forms, while we're still in that place, whatever it may be, some may call it the Akashic field, some may call it heaven, some may call it, the divine essence or whatever, wherever in that place prior to being born into a physical form, the soul, the consciousness, the higher self, makes a contract with elders or council or whatever, and they together, the self and the council, come up with a plan. It's more like we choose. We get all these options. Okay, you can go down onto earth and you can go through this experience and that experience and this experience and that experience. And we get to say, yeah, I'll do that, or no, I don't want to do that. And then when we say, yeah, we do that, and even they may be very extremely challenging situations that we have to face as humans, other souls or cells within that realm will say, okay, I'll help you do this, I'll go down and help you do this, and I'll go down and maybe there'll be the antagonists in our story or the villains in our story. And they come down and they assist us with this life, this predestined life. That makes somewhat sense to me. I do believe that we're incarnated again and again into form. I do not believe that one body form is it. I believe that there is an essence and a spaciousness and a space that originates us all, and all matter originates from the space, and we in these bodies of matter come from that place, as the earth did, as all the planets did, as all the galaxies did. And that place, according to quantum physicists, may be deemed the quantum field, or the vacuum, the dark vacuum, whatever you want to call it. That's what people are starting to want, the creative vacuum from which we all come. And so these forms are from that. But our consciousness, however, is primordial. It's omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. It's been here long before the form ever was, and it will be here long after the form goes. So consciousness, I truly believe, lives outside the body, and it is filtered through the brain. But it is not dependent on the brain. It works with the brain, but it's not dependent on the brain. Mind works with matter, but mind is not dependent on matter. So that being said, when the physical body dies, we go to this place, we return to the ether, the space, whatever you want to call it, and we live out, then we decide how we're going, if or when we're going to reincarnate again into another form. The mission of the soul, the self, is to grow and to evolve and to get to the point where they don't have to come back. And the Buddhists refer to this as samsara, the cycle of samsara. Samsara will keep coming back and keep coming back until we reach a state of evolution where consciousness is everything, and we recognize consciousness and we truly see what reality is. And we reach the enlightened state, and we've done enough good on this planet that we do not have to come back unless we choose to come back solely to help others with that, but not for our own evolution's sake. So that's the wheel of samsara, and we keep evolving as we come back every time. We can't go back in the sense that if I've evolved to this state in my next life, I'm not going to go backwards. I'm always going to go forward. The self is. The experiences I have, however, may seem like they're degraded or more challenging or whatever, and that's simply at the choice of the soul to get through this experience and to grow and to learn as much as possible. So when we think about predestination, I think of it that way. I think, yes, if soul contract is a form of predestination, I do believe we kind of choose the experiences and the challenges we have here, and we learn and grow through them, so that this self, this consciousness, which is actually one conscious manifested into all these little blips of bodies, right? So that consciousness can grow and expand, and consciousness can experience itself through each and every one of us, and that's part of our purpose for being here as well. So we are predestined in that way. I think at the same time, I'm looking into quantum physics quite a bit, and I like this idea that we all, that there's several different possibilities in this vacuum. It's Akashic field, this vacuum from which we all emerge, the creator, the primordial space of life, that space that we come from. There's an infinite set of possibilities in which we can choose, which were the, before we come into matter, we can choose what type of electron we're going to go into, the electron that will belong to what type of substance, and how that will react and act. So this myriad of possibilities we can experience in this life, and once we are observed, once something outside of us observes us using some type of measuring tool, like in quantum physics, once the particle is observed, it will jump into this vibrating energy potential, will jump into the particle that it has chosen, and all other possibilities will not be seen. The only possibility we'll see is the one that the particle chose to, or the particle essence chose to go into, to manifest as particle. And we do the same with our life experiences. If you think of each experience as something we've chosen that gets observed by somebody else, we jump into it as vibrating energy frequencies, and we jump into it, and then it becomes materialized and being able to pick up by the five senses of some other. And it's the observation that determines what exactly we choose. And sometimes we're the observer ourselves, choosing our experiences. So there is that too, which kind of is the opposite of predestination, when we think about all these choices that we have, that we do not have to choose the paths that we have in life, and that for whatever reason we've chosen because maybe our thinking wasn't clear enough, or maybe it was darkened with some form of negativity from past trauma or samskaras, and so the choices we're making may not be the most wholesome or the healthiest. But we can always make a choice. We can always jump into that particle circumstance that we choose. So that's just the opposite of predestination. So I do and I don't believe in predestination, and I really don't understand a lot of this, and this quantum physics stuff is just something I'm looking in, but it's truly fascinating. I would recommend the book Science in the Akashic Field by Erwin Laszlo. It's just a great read with a lot of scientific validation and exploration of these quantum physics theories that are out there, and even the Newtonian physics, and they explore biology and the evolution through the eyes of a biologist, as well as through a religious organization. So it's just a good read, and it helps put some of this stuff into perspective. Well, that's all I have to say about that. I hope that makes a lick of sense. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.